Hey guys, Rhett here, the Section 8 guy. Thanks for watching. Today I want to talk to you about something that a lot of my coaching clients have been asking me about. And it's something that is super important to your success. Making sure you understand how FMR or fair market rents work, okay? Now, I say coaching clients. If you are watching this video and you're interested in my coaching program, my email is below. Shoot me an email and get more details. My coaching clients are killing it and they get information and they're able to build portfolios and Section 8 rental properties faster than anybody else in the country because we have the right process, we have the right system, and we have the right teams, okay? So guys, getting into this, what is FMR, okay? So a lot of you guys, you go online and you go to the HUD website. We talk about it in other videos, as well as some other people out there talk about what it is, okay? When you look up a market on HUD.gov, / FMR, fair market rents, you can find what the government will pay you for a Section 8 unit based on the zip code, the county, and the city that you are investing in. So for example, you might look up a city in Ohio or a city in Texas, and you'll say, okay, wow, look at, for a 3-bedroom, Section 8 will pay me $1,300. For a 4-bedroom, they'll pay me $1,500. For a 2-bedroom, they'll pay me $1,000, okay? That's not true, all right? That is not what they will pay you. That is the maximum amount that Section 8 is allowed to give you for that unit with respect to the amount of bedrooms that it has, okay? Now, anything else contrary to that is completely false. I have bought tons and tons and tons of these units in 9 different states over the past 10 years. I've never, ever, hundreds of units, hundreds. I have never one time been given the actual amount of fair market rent. And let me tell you why, okay? The numbers that you see on that HUD website, those numbers are based on the national spending budget, okay? Who makes that budget? Congress, all right? Every couple of years, they negotiate the budget. You guys see on the news, the Congress, the budget, and it's usually a stack of papers that's that big, okay? Well, in that stack of papers, and everyone's always fighting over it, right? The Democrats, the Republicans, they're all fighting. They all, complain about what the other one wants to spend money on. In that big packet, there is a section about that big, okay, that is putting funds, tens of billions of dollars, into government subsidized housing, okay? So in that budget, they're negotiating a couple things. Number one, they're negotiating how much money they can spend over the next 2 years or 4 years, however long the budget is established for before it's renegotiated. And also in there, they're putting a special amount of money in an auxiliary fund, okay? Now the auxiliary fund is for if something catastrophic happens in our country to make sure that landlords get paid. Now, I've had Section 8 properties when something is catastrophic. What does the government categorize catastrophic as? For example, government shutdown, okay? I've had my properties through 2 government shutdowns, and they go into that auxiliary budget, pay me to make sure I still get paid, okay? When everybody else isn't getting paid, even government workers. But it's such an important program that the government makes sure that you get paid. Okay, so getting back to what we were talking about. In that packet, okay, of the national spending for our country, there is a small section based on government subsidized rents. All right, now I'm going to explain to you why you will not get fair market rent. Number one, usually you'll get somewhere between 75 and 90% of that rent. Now, every year when you go on HUD, you'll see that the budgets actually remain the same. But the fair market rents for that area fluctuate, just like anywhere, okay? Now, the government wants to make sure that landlords rent to Section 8 tenants, all right? So Every year, you can file for a rental increase, okay? Usually it's somewhere between 3 and 5%. Okay, so if we place a tenant for $1,000, next year we can go back to HUD and say, hey, we want to move up. We want to increase the rent to $1,040 a month. That's a 4% increase from $1,000 to $1,040, okay? They go, yep, okay, that's reasonable. We can do that. Why can they do that? Because if we're getting a unit that, say we rented for $1,000 and the maximum HUD is allowed to pay was, say, $1,100, they can now give us that increase because they're still under their budget. If they max us out at $1,100 that first year and we go to file a rental increase and maybe the fair market rent in that area stays the same over the course of the next year, they can't give us any more money. They can't override the national spending budget that they're given. That is what they're allowed to do. They are bound by the FMR that the government assigns them. All right. So let me explain to you why it's so important for them to not hit that number. I'll give you an example. Say you have a unit and the fair market rent on HUD is $1,200. Okay. They come to you and they go, hey, here's you find a tenant, everything works good. They go, we'll give you $1,100 a month. You go, okay, well, what's the max? It's $1,200. Okay. So $1,100 is what you're receiving every single month. The market goes nuts. The market goes absolutely crazy. People are moving there. People are, whatever market you have invested in, people are moving there. People are calling you and they're saying, hey, we'll give you $1,500 for that unit, but no, we're not Section 8. And you go, well, dang, I just put a Section 8 tenant in there at $1,000 a month or $1,100 a month. This is terrible. I should have rented this out to a cash tenant. You call the Section 8 housing authority in your area and you go, hey, listen, I don't think that I can rent to the Section 8 tenant anymore. After this lease is up, I'm going to have to move on and get a cash tenant because they'll pay me more money. The housing authority goes, whoa, 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 whoa. No. We'll move you up. Fair market rent's moving up quick, so we'll move you up. We'll move you up to $1,200, right? Now, it's a bad example because they'll never hit that maximum. So say, Section 8 rents were, fair market rent was $1,250, right? They'll bring you up to $1,200 to make it more luxurious for you or incentivize you more to keep that Section 8 tenant in the unit because that is all they're trying to do. So now you call the housing authority and they go, no, we'll bump you up 100. We'll bump you up 100. You can keep that Section 8 tenant in there. You go, okay, well, I guess for the guaranteed rent, I'll take another $100 a month, which is another $1,200 to my gross for the year. And then it's guaranteed, and then maybe that's a good trade-off instead of taking a tenant for $200 or $300 more dollars, but none of it's guaranteed. Okay, I can live with that. I'll keep the Section 8 tenant in there. That's why they need to create a buffer in that monthly rent to allow them to go up to keep you incentivized to keep a tenant in a unit. Okay, that is what I have seen over the past decade, just about, of doing this. All right. So guys, it's super, super important for these housing authorities not to top out at that number. Like I said, hundreds of properties, I have never, ever, ever, ever seen it. I don't know. I have a lot of friends who invest in Section 8. Nobody has ever maxed out that FMR. Ever, ever, ever. I have never done it either. And I use management companies who specialize in Section 8, who know these caseworkers and who know everybody in these housing authorities and have known them for years and years and years. It doesn't happen. You don't max out the FMR. It's important for you to know too, because when you're running your numbers to try and figure out if it's going to be a good investment for you, you understand, hey, I'm not going to get that number. I'm going to get 75 to 90% of that. So when you guys are going online and you're looking at properties that are already being cash flowed and rented by Section 8 tenants, and you go, well, hold on, the fair market rent for this unit for a 3-bedroom is $1,000, why is there a Section 8 tenant paying $600? That's a question I get also often. The answer to that is a couple things. One, a negligent landlord who's never filed for a rental increase. It could be the landlord was like, I just want to put somebody in there. It could have been years and years and years ago when the FMR for that unit was around, you know, $600, $700, and they just put somebody in there. It was good rent at the time. But just know that when you take over that unit, you can file for rental increases to bring it up closer to market rent. Now, you won't be able to just take a unit that's renting for $500 and, you know, immediately bring it up to $1,000. You're going to have to do it incrementally, but you can eventually continue to bring that unit higher and higher and higher and higher. But the whole point of this is so you guys know when you're running your numbers, the HUD FMR is not what you're actually going to get. That is purely a maximum that the government is going to allow you to receive. You will not get there. You won't do it, okay? Another example. Housing authorities are only going to pay you what is the current fair market rent. Current fair market rent. That's different from a HUD FMR, okay? If we take a neighborhood and there's 5 Section 8 houses in that neighborhood and they're all renting for $800 a month, but the HUD FMR is $1,200. You buy another house in that neighborhood, you want to put a Section 8 tenant in it, you list it for $1,200. You're never going to get it. The HUD Housing Authority is going to run comps on every property in that neighborhood and say, wow, there are 5 units, okay, like amenities, similar square footage, similar bedrooms, and they're only renting for $800 a month. HUD's going to say, well, number one, why are we going to pay you $1,200? We're not, because it's our max. But even if we had to, everything else in that area is only for $800, okay? They're going to pay you maybe $850, $825. They're going to run comps based on similar properties that are up to date, okay? So if you buy a 3-bedroom in a neighborhood with 5 other Section 8 properties and they're all 3 bedrooms and they're all rented at $500 a month, but they haven't had rental increases in 20 years, then you'll get a good number for it. But if they're newly acquired and they have Section 8 tenants in them and they're new on the market and that's what the market is saying, that it's only worth $800, that's what you're gonna get, okay? So it's a combination of what is the current atmosphere of Section 8 properties in that area, what is the current market rent of that actual area, coupled with what the housing authorities are actually allowed to give you, which is 75 to 90% of that HUD FMR that you guys are seeing online, okay? I hope you enjoyed it, guys. Any questions and comments? I know I threw a lot of information at you. Leave them below. I'll get to all of them, and we'll see you next time.